Hello, everyone. This fishing report took place on 9 and 10 February 2026. That's a Monday and Tuesday. Where I decided to go fishing was the Texas City Dike, located right over here. Look how far out it goes into Galveston Bay. And there's a massive channel right here that Black Drum love using during the February time frame. When the waters hit around 60 degrees, that's when I know to come out here and start fishing for these fellas. I've been tracking them for the past 4, maybe 5 years now. And everything that I have noticed and like from all the data that I've collected says the water must be in the 60s because that's whenever I catch the most of them. And the warmer it is, the better it's going to be as far as the water is concerned. I also have a tendency to catch more black drum during a high tide than I do low tide. So just keep those two things in mind whenever coming out to fish for black drum. So during the latter part of the day, right before the sun goes down, that's whenever the bite is usually more active for me than it is during the morning time. Now, I have caught fish during the AM hours, but there is a significant difference in what I catch during the PM. The bait of choice that I'm going to be using is blue crab, and you can buy that out here at Boyd's. I come here because they do a military discount for veterans, and the blue crabs that I select from their bins are going to be the liveliest ones. So I kind of prod at them, like pick some of them up and like sift through them to make sure that they are very active. And the smaller ones are what I like to kind of grab, just being that they weigh less and you can cut them in half. They're going to fly through the air a lot easier. And so I go for the smaller ones if at all possible. And right now, I need to mention from February the 20th all through until the 1st of March, crabbing is closed. So all the crab fishermen are not going to be able to leave their traps inside the water. And a lot of the bait shops who catch their own bait to sell, they're not going to have crab. So what you're going to have to do is go to like a seafood market that sells live blue crabs. And you'll see some of the other creators go to like Fiesta. Sometimes I've done it myself. But you just need to know that if you come out here or you call Boyd's, chances are they're not going to have any blue crab for sale because their traps cannot be in the water. That's the way the state of Texas goes about cleaning up our waters from abandoned crab traps. So if you do see a trap in the water, then it's incumbent upon you to remove it and dispose of it on the bank. And nobody can do anything to you. You're not going to be considered poaching or anything like that, so long as it's February 20th to March 1st. All right, so with all that being said, this was a special trip to me because my dad has like recently retired, and he's always been wanting to go fishing with me. He watches my videos a lot, and this was finally the first time that we were able to link up during his retirement, and it's one of the easiest trips that you can possibly do. I like to drive down here towards the end of the dike to have a good opportunity at catching the black drum. Now, again, just because this is what I do doesn't mean that there's not going to be black drum biting from the very end to the base of the dike itself. It's just where I like to go. I catch more fish over here, and that's my reasoning for coming all the way down. But I said it was an easy trip because all you got to do is park. The way these trucks are right here, you come over here with all your gear, you park, the rocks are right there, and then whammo, you get to start fishing. There's no need to walk anywhere. There's no need to set up, like walk far away, set up a base camp. I mean, you get the idea. It's fairly easy, and there's a lot of downtime while you're waiting for one of these big fish to bite. So we just chill out, talk, and just enjoy life. And so that's basically what we did. I have this pin dropped right here, and I keep it there because it gives me an idea of where it is that I fish all the time. There used to be a sign, and it's been since removed. I don't know if somebody ran it over and then they just cut the sign down or they just uprooted it. But either way, this is where I like to come fish, and it's for one reason. The End of the dike is the most preferred spot. It is a lot deeper over here in this area, a lot more current whenever it's outgoing or incoming is going like through the tip of the dike itself. So lots of moving water, which means more aggressively and active feeding fish. But a lot of people know this and they always come out here. So bear in mind that if you do make it out here one day during the week, which is usually whenever it's not going to be packed, or during the weekend, if you happen to come out here and like take up residence right here before anybody else, be prepared for other people to park right next to you and cast out right next to you, because that's just what they do. So be prepared for that. If that doesn't bother you, then by all means, you're going to have a better shot at catching these big fish, whether it's the black drum or the redfish run, the bull reds. You'll be able to do that, catch a significantly amount more than everybody else. And that's just by default of the location right here. Now, there are a lot more obstructions down here. The current's being faster. It's going to sweep your bait away and push you into the debris. So be prepared to lose a lot of leaders. I can't tell you how many times I look down from over here to over here and you see these guys stuck. If their like anchors, their weights don't anchor their line and their bait, and they get swept into the other debris. So that could happen. And that's the main reason why I come over here. There's more space. There's a little bit more room. People aren't going to get elbow to elbow to you. And it's just a little bit more peace of mind. And number two, I just want to have a quiet area to be able to narrate as the day goes on. And whenever we get a catch, there's no other obstructions, no other voices and stuff like that to go along into my video. So that's why I park right over here. So if you come out here and you're not at the very end, I just recommend dropping a pin on Google Maps or whatever maps you use so that you can go back out to that same spot later on. Maybe it's something like you didn't get snagged whenever you fished as close as you can to your pin. And that's, more comfort and peace of mind with not always throwing away money and rebuilding leaders and stuff like that. So I do recommend dropping a pin. All right, so again, this is where we parked. On the first day, we spent about 5-6 hours and no bites whatsoever. We took the liveliest crabs that Boyd's had to offer, and we only used, I want to say, 2 of them, and we didn't get any bites at all. I don't know what to say because all the conditions on paper, they looked exceptional. Which on the 9th, the ambient temperature was 78.6 degrees. The water temp was 60.4 degrees. Water level was 0.14 feet. The winds were 8.55 knots from the south-southwest. The tide was mid-incoming, and there was really no noticeable movement. And we didn't get any bites at all. The water was very clean. We fished all the way up until high tide. And so, again, all those conditions are the things that I tracked. It wasn't the first day that the water was in the 60s. I usually have a tendency to wait for it to be in the 60s for at least 3-4 days in a row to kind of establish a warm water pattern so that these fish are now coming in instead of it being like you have the early fish coming in, onesies and twosies. I just give them time to feel that the water is warm enough to come in from the channel out here to start actively feeding over here, because they breed over here inside the channel itself, the deep waters that have higher currents. And then once they do their thing, they'll come over here. Now, this is all just guesswork, y'all. But my thoughts are, from the channel, they come over here to get a meal to eat against these rocks. They're always looking for structure. And whenever they smell that crab in the water, then that's whenever you get lucky and get your bite. But it just didn't happen on the 9th. And so on the 10th, I went right back out. I kept my crab, the remainder of them, on ice, and just made sure that they weren't going to fall into the water as the ice melted. You can keep them alive for probably 4 days or so. And so that's what I did. Kept them in the garage on ice. They were stunned and on chill. Brought them out the very next day. And I think I started fishing it around, yes, at 12 in the afternoon. And I think by 2 o'clock, 2 or 2:30, I got my first bite. And it was what I'm guessing to be a 34 to 38 inch black drum. And just completely unprepared for it. I forgot what it was that I was doing, but then I had looked over to my rod as it was out in the water, and I'm like, holy cow, I just got bit. And I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. So hurried up and pushed record on both cameras, went out, and was able to get super lucky with the hookup. I'm using big circle hooks, like 7/0 size, and they do their job. The big fish will grab it, and sometimes they have a tendency to run, which is what I love to happen, because that means they hook themselves. There's no need to set the hook on a circle. So I got super lucky on the second day. The only thing that would have made it better, and I had mentioned it in the video, was my dad being there so that he could reel it in. But we'll most likely I'll bring him back out before the run is over, and maybe towards the end of the month or early March, we'll be able to come out here and enjoy a day where I can actually, catch him on video reeling in one of these big monsters. But yeah, that's the extent of my knowledge through the past 4 or 5 years of going after these guys. Blue crab is going to be like the best bait to use. You can use live shrimp, you can use fresh dead shrimp, but everything else goes after that. So you'll have to deal with a lot of trash fish and constantly checking your bait and then casting back out, because everything eats shrimp. The only thing that's going to eat those blue crab is going to be a black drum or the redfish, red drum. And so that's why I use it. And then the other thing is, you can get frozen crab during this time frame almost anywhere, but they really don't work that well. There was one year when my son was fishing with me, and we came out here to Fort San Jacinto. His friends, the other content creators, some of y'all may know of them on YouTube, were using, one of them had live blue crab, and me and Christian had the frozen stuff, because it was during this exact time frame where the crab fishermen can't go out there and catch crabs because their traps have to be out of the water. So we just bought some frozen crab at Buc-ee's, which I don't recommend, because when that stuff starts to thaw out, it stinks like really bad. And when you put your hands on it, hopefully you're wearing gloves, which we weren't. Yeah, just a bad day. So his friend was actually catching black drum one after another. The bite was exceptional out here in this area, and it wasn't until his buddy gave us 2 crabs, and that was like 2 pieces for each of us to be able to cast out there, and then we started catching crab. And so I'm like, I'm sold. Live blue crab is the way to go. The frozen stuff, I won't even deal with it, because it stinks, for one. Number 2, it didn't outfish the live crab. And so sometimes it just takes you experiencing something like that to truly take note of what it is that you need to do. So I will travel to like Fiesta or some of the other seafood markets, possibly in Kima. And the best thing is to call around to see if they have live blue crab, and drive there to buy that stuff and then go fishing. It's just going to make for a better day overall. But yeah, hopefully I've left you with everything possible. If I didn't, and there's something that you still want to know, drop some comments down below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability, and if experience allows me, to give you a 100% like solid answer. But hopefully you can use all this information to the best of your benefit on an upcoming trip. And until next time, tight lines, y'all.